What is going on, everybody? I am Tom Radigan, your host, and welcome to another edition talking about the King, Elvis Presley. And this is an edition where we are going to talk about the Golden Collection, a complication album, a compilation album. I should have meant to say, not complication. I knew that. What the hell, Tom? What the hell? So, in case you didn't know or didn't watch the last time, the goal for the Golden Collection is what it is it's a compilation album idea that I had, that if I worked for RCA Victor and I needed to put together a compilation album of the best Elvis Presley songs to put on, what type of album would it be? And for me, it would be in chronological order. And it was an idea I had ever since I was in, like, even in middle school, when I became a big Elvis fan. Like, as far as when I really dived in and loved his music. And my list has always changed over the years. I even did a playlist on my on my old channel before this channel came about, and that was back in 2015. And some of those songs are different on that playlist now, and I've stuck it to 60 songs. It was inspired from the Buddy Holly Memorial Collection compilation album, and these are songs that are really Elvis in his prime from 1954 to 1961. Like I said, there are still some great songs from the late 60s and 70s of Elvis, but this is really his prime, the 50s era, and even stuff he did a little bit after the army, before, he got into the whole movie career doing stuff like Kissing Cousins and Viva Las Vegas. So I wanted to do a compilation album that really represented him in his prime, because the type of compilation albums I've seen don't really do that, or you know um put songs on there that I don't think represent him the best. And listen, this is my opinion. You can have a completely different opinion on how you view some of Elvis's songs. If there are some Elvis songs from the 50s I didn't mention that you're upset about, I'm sorry. You can make your own compilation album if that's really if it's really bothering you that much. I open the door to any other people who love Elvis and want to talk about their idea for a perfect type of album that really kind of goes through with his memory. So we talked about the first disc, because I'm viewing this more as like a CD type of thing, and it's 60 songs, 20 for each disc. So we've already went through 20 of the songs. Now we're going to go through 20 of the 40 songs so far, and then for the next edition we will go over the last 20, that will make up all the 60 songs that I think. So in the last episode we covered songs from what the first song he ever recorded with in Sun Records in 1953 to Heartbreak Hotel, and his B-side was the one in Money Honey, 1956. That's what we ended with. So now we are going to start well, not start, we're going to continue where we left off. And like I said, this is in chronological order. So, yeah, without further ado, let's go into disc 2 of the Elvis Presley Golden compilation album, the Elvis Presley Golden Collection 2. Okay, here we go. So, coming in number 1, we got Blue Suede Shoes, which was, of course, famously done by Carl Perkins before. This was recorded January 30th. This was actually, because Carl Perkins' version was done pretty, close to Elvis's. His was done at the end of the year of 1955 and released really early of 1956. I believe it was released New Year's Day of 1956, and Elvis did it basically 30 days later. It was released January 1st of 1956, and you're just of like early January. And and Elvis did it right after I recorded it, and then and it got and then of course it's I really think with this song, Of course, it was a big hit for Carl Perkins, or at least Carl Perkins did get more recognition for doing the song. But Elvis, when he did it, he kind of got, Elvis was, really the biggest thing on the planet, really in 1956, and Carl Perkins was supposed to kind of be this next, big thing after Elvis, but Carl Perkins got into a car accident, so a lot of people kind of just, in the beginning kind of thought of this as Elvis's song. And like a lot of the other songs that we have on this list about Elvis with covers and all that, they're not as great as like they're not as original as like his songs like Blue Suede Shoes or some of the other songs, but like some covers he'll have, you'll just see, oh, it's a cover, the original sounds better. Every song that Elvis did in some ways was a cover because he didn't write his own song. I mean, there were some songs that were written just for him. Um, but Blue Suede Shoes was not the case. Yet you could also argue that this was a good song that was, his version is just as good as the original. And like I said, that's not the case for all of the covers that he did. Some you will see that fit with Blue Suede Shoes and some that don't. Yeah, no, but it's got the classic Elvis lineup at this point. Elvis on vocals and rhythm guitar, Scotty Moore on lead guitar, Bill Black on bass, DJ Fontana on drums. And yeah, no, it's just like, this is the best lineup that Elvis ever had. They were a really good rocket band. They played this song on the Dorsey Brothers stage show, Milton Berle. Uh, you know, Blue Suede Shoes was a signature for Elvis, of having Blue Suede Shoes then, Like I said, a lot of people really just thought this was Elvis's song, and then, realized later this was, Carl Perkins who originally wrote it and had a hit with it too. But yeah, like I say, that this is both their songs, but for this of course is an Elvis compilation album. So we're talking about Elvis, and I've always loved this song. I always think this is of course, this is one of my favorite Elvis songs too. I mean, how could it not be? Like, of course, it's one of his signature songs. I would say, definitely on that list. I mean, you can't talk about Elvis or have an Elvis album without that song really on there. If we're gonna really go into the specifics of what Blue Suede Shoes meant, it is funny because when you go into, like, for instance, the compilation album with Elvis Golden Records, we've got, yeah, no, so like as we see, Blue Suede Shoes is not on that record. Yeah, no, like that song alone, I think, just has that, real rocking attitude. Elvis's low voice on it really, takes charge, and it just works. I mean, I love how he does it live, but the studio version also works well too. So yeah, I said as much as I could on that. Going on a little bit of a ramble, or back and forth and all that. So let's go to number two, and that is My Baby Left Me, which was written by Arthur Crudup. This was recorded January 30th, the same day as Blue Suede Shoes. Yeah, so they were on the same session, and of course you got, Scotty Moore, Bill Black, DJ Fontana. You got Shorty Lawn on piano. Yeah, because they also had, in these recording sessions, they usually would always have a piano player too. Even though when you would see Elvis play live, it was usually just Scotty, Bill, and DJ. Really, nobody. You didn't really see a piano player with them really when they did the stuff live. But yeah, My Baby Left Me is an Arthur Crudup song, which was when Elvis did That's All Right Mama, that was an Arthur Crudup song as well. And yeah, like if you think That's All Right Mom and My Baby Left Me like are similar, yeah, I mean it makes sense. It was written by the same guy. There's definitely a lot of similarities there. I mean, and My Baby Left Me was recorded a little bit after That's All Right Mama. So like, and this was recorded in the time where Elvis was now no longer with Sun. He was with RCA Victor, so they were a little bit more of a richer record label and sound quality. I mean, considering they were one of the five major record labels already, when Sun was just kind of more of an independent label. So Elvis had that to his disposal. And My Baby Left Me, just with the drums, the bass kicking in, starting it, and then the guitar, and then Elvis's voice, just really brings out some good, just really good rhythm, really, catchy, vocal, vocal, styles from Elvis, really going through that rough. He's really like kind of straining his voice in that rough style, like I stand out my window in my hands and moan. And the drums really kick in. I mean, I think you really gotta give DJ Fontana credit on how heavy he's hitting the drums for this. And yeah, and Bill Black's bass. I mean, just like what a band, really. And yeah, no, definitely, a song that I've always, it's not always, of course, a well-known Elvis song. So, I always love, not playing the well-known Elvis songs too, or when it's been a while since I've heard some Elvis songs, I do love, sticking those types of songs on, so I never get really tired of listening to a song like My Baby Left Me. And then, of course, it got covered over the years. Queen's Clearwater Revival covered it on the album Cosmos Factory. So yeah, yeah, and Elton John even did it live in 1970. So this song was, of course, it was an Arthur Credit song at first, but Elvis kind of kept it alive, and probably over the years, people got a chance to know it as an Elvis song. And Yeah, no, but yeah, like definitely, of course, an Elvis classic had to be on this list. It works well as the second song for this part of the playlist. And Bruce, like with Blue Suede Shoes, what a great opener for it. And then for number three, we got Tutti Frutti, which of course is a Little Richard song. And like I said, how I think there are some Elvis covers that are just as good as the original. When it comes to Tutti Frutti, this is just a plain cover, like it's not the song that you can't tell, like, who owns which. Little Tutti Frutti is Little Richard's song. Elvis just did a cover. I love Tutti. I love his version of Tutti Frutti. I mean, it's way better than Pat Boone's version, because Pat Boone, I mean, that was the whole controversy, was that Pat Boone had a bigger version, with like a big hit with his version of Tutti Frutti. But before Little Richard's version really was a big hit, which is crazy because Pat Boone's version is just so white, because of course, Elvis was, you know, profited on a white guy singing black music, when Pat Boone was also profited on a white guy singing black music. The only difference is Elvis was profited on singing black music as a like in that black sound, with sounding like he was black, when Pat Boone sounded like, of course, he was just white. And the Tutti Frutti with Pat Boone's was just so clean, and to the point where it's like, oh god, it's like you can't even listen to it, because like Little Richards is all raw and raunchy, and Elvis, adds that same quality that Little Richard. He doesn't really change up the lyrics, like Pat Boone does. Yeah, no, and he does it pretty well. I like his version of it on Dorsey Brothers stage show. He does this really weird goof. Where he goes to the line, "She knows how to love me, yes, indeed," where if you actually watch it, Scotty Moore like is looking like, is kind of startled by the change in his voice. He just goes from this weird voice where he goes like, "She knows I love me, yes indeed, a boy," and then it just goes back to his low, "A boy, you don't know what you do to me, to fruity." But yeah, no, definitely, like, I love, how he does the wop bam wop bam boom, and they keep the groove really, simple, and works well. The guitar, I think, really also, Scotty Moore's guitar really helps keep this song alive, I think, as well. And yeah, it had to be on this playlist and compilation, in my opinion. But it definitely isn't like, some Blue Suede Shoes where, oh, it's like you can listen to either version and say that's Carl Perkins song or an Elvis song. When you listen to Tutti Frutti, that's Elvis covering a Little Richard song, period. But yeah, no. So going on to number four, we've got another cover. We're gonna have a few big well-known covers, and that was "Shake, Rattle, and Roll," which of course was done by Big Joe Turner and Bill Haley in the Comets. Uh, this was recorded February 3rd of 1956, and of course recorded in RCA Studios. And in New York we had Scotty Moore on guitar, Bill Black on bass, DJ Fontana on drums. The only difference was too, they were also backing vocals on this, of doing when Elvis calls out the shake, rattle, and roll, they're doing that with him. And it's the only time really where they actually do any type of backing vocals on an Elvis song, because they really just stuck to being just more of like the musicians and all that. So I kind of always found that interesting, because I remember seeing them do it on the Day Orsi Brothers stage show and seeing like, them sing along with him. And I wonder, oh, is that the same in the studio version? And they're doing that too. And their version of Shake, Rattle, and Roll was just really fun. I've always loved it. I was debating to put this on the playlist and replacing it with, because I have a lot of early 1956 Elvis songs, so I was gonna maybe replace it with something that was recorded later in the year that was released on the Elvis album instead of stuff around the Elvis Presley album. But I just thought like I had to bump, so I decided to bump a song from the Elvis album, or something that was recorded from that era, to put this song on the list, because it had to be there in my opinion. Like, because this is at the time where Elvis was signed to RCA, he was becoming a big deal, but he still wasn't as like, a major success yet. We were still, of course, really knowing who Elvis was. He was going to make his appearance on the Dorsey Brothers stage show soon. Heartbreak Hotel as a single, of course, was recorded earlier, in January, and then released on January 27th. So, he was like becoming bigger than he was before, and was almost going to become this overnight sensation. So Shake, Rattle, and Roll, which is one of those early songs that he recorded for RCA. And they performed on the Dorsey Brothers stage show, because those shows appearances were really figuring out who Elvis was, and what was he gonna do for people, and like, was he gonna be this impact on teenagers and rock and roll, and of course he certainly did. So coming at number five, another cover which was also recorded February 3rd, which was Lottie Miss Claudie. And I know I should probably address the elephant in the room that this was 3 years before for the exact date that Buddy Holly died. But yeah, no. Lottie Miss Claudie is number five. It was written by Lloyd Price, and of course, it was a hit by Lloyd Price in '52. Shorty Long's piano is the intro for this, and then of course, you got still Elvis's band, and I've always loved this version. Like I said, I wanted to like kind of have a balance of early Elvis songs that were recorded around the Elvis Presley album, which was his first album, to the second album, which was Elvis. But I had to put both Lottie Miss Claudie and Shake, Rattle, and Roll on it, and same with Tutti Frutti. Like, those were songs that I had to put on the list. So so like I said, like I just gave more songs for them than any of the songs for that I was gonna pick for that were on the Elvis album, because I just think these are songs that, if you really want to get into Elvis or know about Elvis in 1956, these are the songs you got to listen to. These were songs that were not, of course, the commercial hits, but they were the songs that were, these were the songs he was starting to record at RCA that were, getting people to understand who he was at the label, with rock and roll, the type of sound that he was able to produce, and the song he's able to sing, and man, he just does it well. I've always loved this song. It is actually a song I can listen to on loop from Elvis over and over. And yeah, no. So coming at number 6, we got "I Want You, I Need You, I Love You." Now, this was Elvis's second big hit. Heartbreak Hotel was the first big hit of his, and "I Want You, I Need You, I Love You" was his second, real single for RCA, and of course, a real big hit. The B side was actually "My Baby Left Me." This was recorded on April 14th, and it was recorded in Nashville. The thing about this song too is it's the first song that we have the Jordanaires as backing vocals on. Actually, they were not. It wasn't actually the Jordanaires yet. The Jordanaires would sing this on TV with Elvis, but actually, Gordon Stoker from the Jordanaires were on this. But it was the same kind of people who did "I Was the One," back in January '56. So this is the second time we have an Elvis song with backing vocals, and then of course, we're going to see more of Elvis's backing vocalist group, the Jordanaires, who appear on a lot of famous Elvis songs. But this song works. I gotta say, like, in some ways, I'm not always a fan of the backing vocals on Elvis songs. I like a lot of the songs from 56, the January and the February sessions, because there weren't that many backing vocals on the songs. They were just plain rock and roll songs that Elvis was doing. But "I Want You, I Need You, I Love You" was more of like a type of hit that was kind of a song that like could work really for him, and of course it's really well known for being like his next big hit for RCA. And it's not like, of course, the most well-known signature song of Elvis, but from Elvis fans, like, people definitely will remember it. It's not like something like maybe as will go down in history like "Heartbreak Hotel" or the other songs that we will mention very, very shortly. But it's good. In case you might wonder where you've heard him perform this, he performed this on the Milton Berle show. He also performed this on Steve Allen, which was kind of more of, as time goes on, we realized that the Steve Allen show, he was not really happy with it because he kind of felt like Steve Allen was making fun of him, with Elvis dressing up in that real big tuxedo, which the Elvis biopic actually, they tackle that and all that. But yeah, no, I just I do I like it. It's funny. Like, my mom has never been a fan of this song, and I remember my mom thinking early on that she thought this was a later Elvis song. But No, I think it's kind of interesting that this is like his real second big single, and it was a success at the time, and it's a song that I definitely do listen to every now and then. It's not my favorite Elvis song, of course, but I do. I mean, there really isn't a bad Elvis song, but the backing vocals in some ways did annoy me at one time, and they're not like in some ways I feel like sometimes they make Elvis's songs seem a little tame, especially with the doo-wop part of like with the second part of the I guess this would be the bridge, where it's like, well, I thought I could live without romance. You know, you know that part when they do that again, and then like when he does that verse again, well, when he does that, yeah, when he does those lines again, you know, the second time around, there's like a whole doo-wop version around it where there's doo-wop vocals. First time you just hear him doing it by himself. But you know, yeah, I could see why it was a hit, you know, and all that. But a lot of people don't really remember it or know it that well. So that's why it's kind of always funny to say that that was the second real, like that was actually the second hit of Elvis. Of course, it's not the most well-known second hit of Elvis, which we will get to in a second. So coming at let's see. So coming at number 7, we got "Don't Be Cruel," and "Don't Be Cruel" is was written by Otis Blackwell and recorded July 2nd, 1956. And of course, you know, what a song. I mean, this, you know, we're talking about like, you know, great Elvis songs, this might actually be my favorite Elvis song. I know that that is sort of a cliche, but "Don't Be Cruel" is probably my favorite Elvis song. You know, just see, in this case, I love the Jordanaires' backing vocals on this, and I love Elvis's, you know, interactions with them throughout the song, especially in the end with "Don't be cruel, cruel," like, and you know like his vocals on this, and like you know the way he really like his cadence on the song really work well, especially with how he uses the words like telephone or you know like or lines like "the future looks bright ahead." The way he is able to deliver these lines brings an interesting, you know, kind of you know, delivery, yes, but kind of like, you know, rhythm of like, you know, of just like enunciation of how he does that type of song, how he does that on this type of song. And you know, he performed it for it was the first song he performed on Ed Sullivan. And yeah, no, he performed it a few times on Ed Sullivan. And I think was that the only TV show he played it on, was Ed Sullivan. But yeah, no, and it was the first double A side with another real big hit. And we'll get to that in a second. But first, I'm gonna tease you with another song coming in at number 8, which is "Any Way You Want Me," which was also recorded July 2nd of 1956. And then uh, that was going to be a B side. That was actually going to be a B side of another big hit that I promise we will get to. But this song, you know, works with you know, I do like the backing vocals on this. I like Elvis's delivery of lines. It's a ballad, but you know it works. You know, there's a real story to it. And you know, I remember liking it a lot. You know, when I first listened to it as a kid, and it definitely still holds up to this day. I actually, you know, have the single right here, which kind of gives away what the A side would be if you're seeing it. But yeah, "Any Way You Want Me," that's how I'll be. Yeah, no, so that's really what I gotta say about it. And yeah, that's how I'll be about it. So now we got, of course, at number 9, "Hound Dog," which, you know, when we talk about signature songs, how is that not the most well-known signature Elvis song? And yeah, like when I mentioned like "I Want You, I Need You, I Love You" was a second hit for Elvis, a lot of people think, you know, "Heartbreak Hotel," then it was "Hound Dog" and "Don't Be Cruel," because "Hound Dog" and "Don't Be Cruel," you kind of think of those songs together, because they were double A sides. And that's a real interesting thing to talk about as well, because double A sides weren't, you know, like that. Elvis was like the first one to really do double A sides, because you know you had the A side of which was going to be whatever the promotional single was, and the B side was just something you throw on the back. But you know. Colonel Tom Parker, was his manager, was a good businessman in a way of them real, and he had other people, of course, um, you know, uh, who were helping promoting him, who were all smart business people to realize that instead of just making a lot of money off of one big hit single, why don't we make money off of two big hit singles into one and call it like a double A side? Because none of these songs are B sides by any means. So complete, yeah, like Hound Dog is a side. Like Don't Be Cruel is an A side, So instead of putting B sides to both of those songs, just put those two together. So because it's like make the capitalize it off of two instead of one, and yeah, like so he performed it, so he recorded July 2nd, but he actually did it on the Steve Allen show a day before, and Steve Allen said it was kind of known he was going to be recording it a day before, and he even recorded it on he did a performance on Milton Berle. And that I think I've talked about on my podcast, Radicals Rockcast, where it's probably I think is one of the coolest things in television history is when Elvis performed Hound Dog on Milton Berle. Because he's in that like the white jacket, and he's got, or like it might have actually been pink if you look at the color of, if you look at the colorized version, I'm not sure, but it's like this very like this transparent jacket with Scotty Bill and DJ and like suits and all that, and that's usually how it was with Elvis. With Elvis, define Elvis as the lead, he'd wear something kind of outstanding when the rest of the members would wear matching outfits, to kind of show that Elvis was the front man. And with Hound Dog, when he performed it on Milton Berle, you just feel the energy and see it really, really come right at you, and really see like like the magnetism. The magnetism that he had, and also like with him gyrating the hips, really caused the controversy of of parents not being thrilled with him, and you just see like the girls just going mad for him, and this is when really they were like like we can have him gyrate his legs on TV, which of course got to the famous like with Ed Sullivan, we'll have him on, just we'll shoot him from the waist up. So that's that too, and of course, this is probably a performance that got Elvis the nickname Elvis the Pelvis, um, and yeah. How can you not love Hound Dog? I mean, it was written by Jerry Lieber and Mike Stoller, and also too, that's another thing too, is that it was Big Mama Thornton who did it at first, and this was a song that she did before Elvis, and it was one of those other covers that is just as good as the original, and it has its own flavor to it, unlike songs like Tutti Frutti Shake Rattle and Roll and Lonnie Miss Claudia, which are just completely covers of a rock and roll song that is a big hit already. But this is its own flavor, for crying out loud. Um, and of course, my favorite moment with him doing it on Milton Berle has got to, of course, be the ending where he improvises after doing the whole song, and instead of just ending right away, he slows it down, and the band on spot like just follows along to his butt wiggling, and like Scotty Moore even joked saying we were the first group that's band director was an ass, and like there's something to be said about that, because like after he if you watch the video and you see he just starts going on, like you can see they kind of aren't like aware, or this might have not been planned, and they just like, all right, let's just keep playing along, and they just go really slow, and Elvis is just he's really like kind of freezing while he's shaking with the microphone, and like you really see like his hips shaking and really just like right in front of you. It's like it's like time froze while you see him do that. It's like really, just like when I see it, like, I remember like, going back and forth and every now and then watching, I just think like, that's really fucking cool. And like, what a, like, just such a cool performance. And yeah, yeah. Hound Dog, written by, classic Lieber and Stoller, biggest Elvis success probably out there. Not, I will say, like I say, like with the backing vocals from the Jordanaires, I'm not always like a huge fan of certain, songs that they sing backing vocals on. This one, I don't really see them needing to because they just like do like some kind of harmony thing on during the solo, and I just don't think it's really necessary because when you hear him perform it live, this was before I that could have been, of course, like a last minute decision, but like to use the Jordanaires there because they were there for that session of "Don't Be Cruel" and "Any Way You Want Me." So I mean, I guess that does make sense, but at the same time, it's like it's not as needed, but it's not gonna ruin the song for me or anybody, or it shouldn't at least. Um, but yeah, no. So now coming at number 10, we got "Love Me Tender," and this was the A side for "Any Way You Want Me." "Love Me Tender" um, is the song that was the opening track for his first motion picture, which was, yeah, "Love Me Tender," because Elvis wanted to do movies, and this was a movie about Elvis being a soldier, or like, well, not a soldier, but being a farmer during the Civil War. And he gets a co-writing credit on it, but that was only for Elvis to maintain a big success with the publishing company. Elvis really, Elvis, in all seriousness, never wrote a song in his life. Even when you see like him credited on certain stuff, he didn't. It was reported there was no song that he ever, he never wrote a song in his life. Um, that is something to be said. Yeah, it was recorded August 24th of 1956. It was yeah, like recorded at Fox Stage One in Hollywood. Yeah, and the band actually was different. It wasn't Scotty Moore, Bill Black, or DJ Fontana. They wouldn't let him use his band for because this was a Hollywood movie, which he would later be able to use his band for the other movies and all that. But for this one, because it was the first one, they were just trying something out. So, yeah, the guy on guitar was Vito Mumolo, Mike Maya Rubin on bass, Richard Cornell on drums. Banjo was Luther Red Roundtree, accordion Carl Fortna, Dominic Frontier as well on accordion, and then vocals were Rad Robinson, John Dodson, and Charles Prescott. So yeah, completely different than his band. But definitely a beautiful ballad. It was the second song he sang on the Ed Sullivan Show. Um, you know, yeah, of course, it's a signature Elvis song. And there's not really that much else I could say about it. I mean, out of all the love songs, it's definitely a great one, and of course has to be on this list. You can't have an Elvis list of talking about these great songs of the 50s of his and not mention "Love Me Tender." I mean, that's just a sin in my opinion. And then yeah, coming at number 11, you got this time "Just Love Me," which was another Lieber and Stoller song. This was recorded September 1st, 1956. Yeah, and yeah, at Radio Recorders in Hollywood. He's back with his band on this. So Scotty Moore, yeah, and Bill Black, DJ Fontana. Um, you know, we got Jordanaires, and all that. Elvis does some piano work on this as well. It's a simple song. It was a song for the Elvis album. Just a simple song about wanting somebody to love somebody. Really that's that. And I like his yeah, like his style. Uh, you know um, you know Even though it really doesn't go anywhere with the melody, you really do feel this type of it doesn't really bother you. You really like lose yourself in the song. You can hum along to it. You can listen to it on a sunny day, or it's one of those songs where you just listen to wherever, and and not really you really can't hate it. I mean, you really do. Like I feel like it's one of those songs that you are just gonna like, because it's Elvis, and how can you really like not like Elvis? So coming in number 12, we got Too Much. This was recorded September 2nd, 1956. So of course around the time of the Elvis album, but it wasn't released on that. It was actually going to be a new single for the year of 1957, but it is a 1956 song because it was recorded in 56. So we are going to count it a part of that. And Too Much is one of those Elvis songs that really kind of captures uh him having a good handle on the production of his own work, and really, being his own producer, even though he really never got the credit for that. And it's just a really fun song. I've always had fun listening to it. And yeah, he did it on Ed Sullivan. It was the last time he was on Ed Sullivan. And yeah, no, yeah, of course, like even the intro, the bump, ba bum, 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 bum, bum. Yeah, it just works really well. And yeah, and then number 13, we've got another Little Richard cover, which is Long Tall Sally. And yeah, no, this was recorded for the Elvis album as well. And yeah, no, it's like Tutti Frutti, it's the same thing, it's a good cover, but it's not gonna compare to Little Richard. And of course, Pat Boone did on Tall Sally too. So you know Little Richard, this guy couldn't get a song out there that white guy couldn't record, and but Elvis's version of Long Tall Sally is something that I've always loved. There's a lot of versions. I mean, the Beatles, of course, did Long Tall Sally. I think I actually, as time goes on, I've liked Elvis's version of Long Tall Sally better. Yeah, I mean, he does add something new with, of course, he's always going to add something new with his voice. Um, you know, Unlike other, covers, where it sounds exactly the same. He does, Elvis is his own person. He's distinctly talented by really putting his own, nobody sounds like him. Nobody really sounds like him. And then people who did sound like him were really just imitating him. Like he really, was able to kind of have his own flavor on a song without even really trying, I feel. It was the way his use of enunciation, or the way the melody would go in a song, where he wasn't one of those people where he was like oh, like the guitar needs to do this, the bass must do that, no exceptions. He was basically like, play how you feel. And considering this was already a record, there wasn't really as much of an issue there. And then we got Coming at number 14, we got Paralyzed, which is another song written by Otis Blackwell, which kind of also sounds like kind of Don't Be it kind of sounds like Don't Be Cruel. You know, and you know, the way Jordan Harrison on it. And but yeah, no, I like it's just it is such a catchy song. It's definitely not an Elvis hit and a song that probably people don't really remember, but this was a song that out of all the songs on Elvis, I thought would fit this list. And yeah, it really does. I mean, of course, there's a great line in the chorus where it's like, "Lucky me, I'm singing every day ever since the way the Lord." You know, yeah, like you know, and then there's one line saying, "You've made my life to me just one big happy day. I'm gay every morning." Of course, that line, of course, now people are like, you know, that line has changed because nobody uses the word gay as happy anymore. Gay is no longer seen as that. So it's like always the jokes when even you hear like the song like West Side Story, you know, feel pretty witty and gay, you know. But now we got at number 15, we got Ready Teddy, another Little Richard hit. Which that's not all. We still got one more Little Richard song to cover after that. Well, we're gonna go with Ready Teddy first. And hey, it's like ready, set, go, man, go. I got a girl that I love so. Buddy Holly also did it. Because Elvis did it in like his year of really getting famous. In 1956, and Buddy Holly got big in '57. And Buddy Holly did in '57. And Elvis, did this song after Little Richard did it. He really got his own flavor to it. I like that. This song, like Long Tall Sally, doesn't have the backing vocals of the Jordanaires on it. It's not really needed. I think they might have been in the sessions with him or near him, like doing like maybe some kind of hand claps that you see them do when he performs it on Ed Sullivan. The first night, I love how he performs on Ed Sullivan, and there's certain things that you love in a song that work, and then you want to hear it again, sometimes more than the rest of the song. And what I love is how he delivers the Ready Set Go on Ed Sullivan. And also too, if you ever go on YouTube, you should type in Elvis and Buddy Holly doing Ready Teddy, and of course, it's not an actual duet recorded. They just somebody edited the two of those songs, two of their versions, together, but it works really well, and it's one of those songs that was like, makes you wish that, oh man, had Elvis and Buddy recorded some stuff together, But yeah, no. So then coming at number 16, another Little Richard song, which is "Rip It Up." And "Rip It Up," from what I've realized, early on when I was, really first getting into rock, like really 50s rock. It's "Rip It Up" almost kind of seemed like your rock and roll initiation, like that this was the song you had to sing in order to get accepted by the public. There's not a version, I didn't even know whose version of "Rip It Up" was the original at first. I didn't even know it was Little Richard's at first. Because like, you had a version from Elvis, you had a version from Buddy Holly, you had a version from Bill Haley. Gene Vincent did a version of it, and then then you got Little Richard doing it. Like I feel like every artist did "Rip It Up," and it's got fun, catchy lyrics, of just some Saturday night and I just got paid, fool about my money I'm trying to save, which speaking from a young guy, sometimes when you get your paycheck, you just want to spend it right away to have a good time, and yeah, no, I really like, like I said, Ready Teddy, Long Tall Sally, they don't have backing vocals on this. Elvis "Rip It Up" just doesn't have any backing vocals on it either, and it works really well. Yeah, this was of course also part of the Elvis album, and yeah, it's just like these covers are almost like kind of how the Beatles did some covers in '64 of even the Beatles doing songs like "Long Tall Sally," or doing Carl Perkins' "Matchbox." But yeah, no, so That wraps up. So we've got 4 songs left, but "Rip It Up" is the last song that we're gonna hear from 1956. Now we are going on to January 12th of 1957, and what was recorded that day of that year was "All Shook Up." And that is probably one of the biggest Elvis singles out there. It's a huge hit. I remember when I was getting into Elvis, it was one of the last big Elvis singles from the 50s I ever heard or really knew that much about. Because I remember, getting, of course, into like Jailhouse Rock or songs like, Hound Dog, and then, hearing people talk about All Shook Up, and some people, when you look on top 10 lists of the 1950s, of top 10 1950 songs, some people were including that song alone as one of the best. And it definitely is up there. It's another Otis Blackwell song. And Yeah, I mean, I love the cover art for it. Yeah, I mean, even how he did it in the comeback special in '68 was great too. But Yeah, no, the piano, his low, soft voice for it works too. There's really not that much more to say about it. I mean, some of these songs you really are gonna have to, really listen to yourself to really, understand the essence of who Elvis Presley was. Um, Coming at number 18, we got a lot of living to do, which was also recorded January 12th, 1957. The one thing about this song, though, is that it was a part of Elvis's second film, Loving You, and it was the first song that was played in the film that Elvis does. And not to get confused with the "Bye Bye Birdie" title. Yeah, got a lot of living to do. Just It was a very just energetic song. Loving You as the second Elvis movie is not always known as one of the it's not always the most well-known Elvis movie. I think out of all the Elvis movies, it's actually my favorite. Yeah, no, I like a lot of the tracks from Loving You. Yeah, no, it works well in my opinion. And then coming at number 19, we got "That's When Your Heartaches Begin," which was recorded January 13th. And you might wonder, wait, Tom, didn't we already go through this on as the first song? And yes, but Elvis re-recorded it, and you had to have two versions of it. Really, in my opinion, because there's the version of 1953, but then you have the version he did of it in '57, where he released that as the B side, with "All Shook Up." And Yeah, no. And yeah, it's a little bit more soft. It's not like my favorite, but it's on the Elvis Golden Records album. That's When Your Heartaches Begin. He does the same monologue he does in the original, so there's really not that much different he's adding lyrically or really even vocally even too. The only thing that's really different is it's a very richer sound and sounds more like it's coming from a polished artist than somebody just hitting the guitar like they're beating on a bucket, like Elvis's first Sun Records. um yeah. And then at number 20, we are going to end with the well-known, 50s legend song "Mean Woman Blues," and also recorded for the film "Loving You," which was also which because it was recorded the same day as "That's When Your Heartache Begins," January 13th of 1957, day after "All Shook Up" and "Got a Lot of Living to Do" were recorded, yeah, and all that. So yeah, Claude Demetrius wrote "Mean Woman Blues." And just such a fun, like I don't even keep saying energetic, but it is, just a real, just like fun type of rock song, you see, I like how he performs in the movie where he's performing it with on the jukebox in a restaurant. But yeah, no, um it's a song that you need to end this playlist to kind of show it, because it's definitely, I think, a big Elvis song for 57, and definitely a big song that we can close with. It's good that we're closing with somewhat of a big song, because we now are heading to the final chapter of Elvis in his prime, and we will be continuing with songs from 1957 for next time. Be sure to tune in, yeah, next time, or any other videos I post. Also, make sure you know that on this link there will be a link to the playlist. I mean, on this bio with all the links, there will be a link to this playlist. So if you want to check it out, you should. And Elvis is leaving the building. So thank you for watching, and have a great day, great night, or wherever you're watching this. And see you guys next time. Bye.